My apologies, loves. I got a little cut off. Had a delivery and I hit stop. They should really have a pause on here. But anywho's, they need to upgrade the YouTube so you can pause your recorded videos and then continue recording it. That's crazy. But anywho's, I'm not recalling where I left off, but we're gonna get into Rihanna. Oh, I was talking about the Sephiroth and the Caliph and how the background, it doesn't take away that in order for the images to come out, it has to have a background that's literally projecting it. It's like you're saying that when you go to a movie theater, that the screen projector is not needed for you to see the fucking images. So you wouldn't see the images if you didn't have the projector in the first fucking place. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. The projector comes first, not the images. Okay. Now I'm gonna get into Riri. So Rihanna did an album. Her last album was called Anti, and that was really, it came out in 2016. However, 2017 is when it really is when I really start listening to the entire album. And Rihanna, like I said, a lot of people try to say that, it's satanic and it's dark or whatever. However, what she's pulling from is the chaos, the darkness. It's from the divine feminine side. So what these ladies are actually doing, the Rihannas and the Beyonce, is they are, even though it's on the main stage, and even though they're signed to these Jewish labels and things like that, and the people that are behind them may think that, oh, they're corrupting everything and they're throwing things in disarray. Shit, that's where the darkness thrives, in the motherfucking chaos. So what they're actually doing is, even though the people may be dead and unconscious, they're still actually helping raise up that vibration of the divine feminine. And that is what the whole thing about, the whole spiritual warfare is that, and that's why we're actually winning it, is because even when they try to use something in their benefit, it always comes back and it works out for us. You see what I'm saying? So people can be listening to Rihanna and they're only getting the surface level, but they're singing what they're singing. They're putting that energy out, and that energy is going towards uplifting the divine feminine. And I'll give you one song off of Anti that is delving into the quote unquote darkness. Woo was produced by Travis. Is it Scott? I think his name is Scott. But anywho, he's a rapper, and it has like some real heavy rock flavor to it. You know what I'm saying? Which, dealing with that, let's talk about that part. It actually brings out the fact that rock and roll came from black people. You know what I'm saying? That all music was created from black people. And let's actually go ahead and get that out of the way. The reason why that makes sense and why that's important is because that goes back to the dark side, the chaos. The chaos side is the creativity. You know what I'm saying? That's the side where new innovative things come from. The darkness. That's where all the potential fucking is. All right. So, with melanated people being the closest to the cosmos, of course, you can tune into the station of that potential, and you can pull out something, and it becomes something that's quote unquote new, even though there's nothing new under the sun still. And there's nothing new under the sun, but that's the darkness. So anywho's, you pull out this potential, and then now you have rock and roll, now you have R&B, now you have country music, you know what I'm saying? Now you have reggae. Now you have jazz. So that's why her doing Woo was really important on two factors, because it brought out the dark side, and it had people who would have normally been afraid of it because they were brought up in religion or in Christianity or into Islam, and so they might have thought that's a reason why in Christianity they don't want you listening to secular music, because the secular music actually brings you back to to the chaos, and they want you to stay in order. That's why they always call it law and order. They want you to stay on the right side of the motherfucking Sifra, the tree of life, and not veer to the left side, because the left side, as I've been reading, they talk about that being the evil, and that's the Jewish tradition, the Orthodox Jewish tradition. They say that that's where the evil came from. That's why the world has quote unquote evil in it, is from the left side of the tree, which represents the feminine energy. So when you have music that's emanating from the left side of the fucking tree, it's actually lifting up the divine feminine energy, okay? So that we can get that balance back. So that's why even when you try to talk about, oh, well, this person is, you know, negative and evil, you talking about the feminine energy, the divine feminine energy, and that shit is not evil. It's just darker because it's coming from a darker place, if that makes sense to you. And then she brings out the sexuality and uplifting up the divine feminine energy and our sexual side, and being comfortable being a black woman and being comfortable in your sexuality, and Kiss It Better and Yeah, I Said It. And there's another one as well, but those two are the ones that are coming up, and Work, but are coming up right now into my recall. So Kiss It Better, she's telling a man basically that he needs to, you know, give her better head, you know what I'm saying, or lick it better. Like, that is literally what she's talking about. So she's reclaiming that whole thing about a woman not supposed to talk about her sexuality, or a woman's supposed to be this perfect lady out in the streets but a freak in the sheets. She's basically saying that I can be whatever I want to be when I want to be it. And that is uplifting the females who felt restricted in their sexuality, or that people have, you know, told that you're a hoe or you're this or you're that. And she's saying that it's okay to you know what I'm saying, to be free sexually, as well as Yeah, I Said It. So that whole album, and mainly the songs that Kiss It Better and Yeah, I Said It and Work, and it's another one right now, it's not coming to mind. However, those songs really showed how that it's okay for a woman to sing about and talk about her sexuality, and talk about, you know, the things she wants a man to do to her, and it's nothing wrong with that. So that actually is what makes it a win on the spiritual side for the divine feminine energy. All right. And now I'm going to jump into Beyonce. So Beyonce came out just like they did the Whitney Houstons, and they wanted you to have her this whole, well, Rihanna came out the same way actually too, upon the replay. They had them come out all cookie cutter. I'm the girl next door, I'm this, I'm that, you know, I'm the sweet girl, and I can only give you the sweetness. I can't talk that talk in my Rihanna. I can't, you know, really fully express myself, but in one way, in one perspective, because men need to see me as this goody two shoes type of image, you know what I'm saying? So Beyonce came out that way. And the further she got into her career, which they all do, then they start turning them more sexual. And if you look at it on a quote unquote negative side, then it's people try to say, oh, then they're over sexualizing these women and all this and that and the other. However, because the game has been so male dominated and has been so patriarchal for so fucking long, we needed a flood of divine energy to come in to reclaim that it's okay for a woman to be sexual and not just be in a man's video shaking her ass and him, you know, pointing at her ass and type of shit, but she can actually come out on her own and say, and, you know, and dress the way she wants to dress and talk about the way she wants a man to please her. Nothing wrong with that. So when Beyonce did her self-titled album, that was to me the first one where she actually started to come out, and as far as coming out more into the darkness of her sexuality. Because even when she did her first album with Crazy in Love and stuff like that, her songs were still kind of like that whole I don't want to say crying over a man, because she had some, you know, she was not like a Mary J. Blige ever, but she did still have that like whole talking about breakups type of thing, like that me, myself, and I, that's all I got type of shit. But when you got into the self-titled album, she had Drunken Love, but she was literally talking about, I've been drinking watermelon. So she's talking about fellatio. And then Below, she's talking about a man licking her clit. And it's the sweetest in the middle. You know what I'm saying? And then just being totally sexual. And then she brought that whole 70s music back. So the self-titled album, she really experimented with how far to take it with her sexuality and things like that, because she had Drunken Love, she had Blow, and she had Rocket. She literally started out by saying, let me sit this ass on you. Okay, that right there in itself showed that this was a different Beyonce, and that she was pulling from her more sexual side. This was the album she did after she had Blue Ivy. So a lot of people were judging her and saying, especially the white feminists, that were saying that, oh, how dare she do that? That's not a feminist. And, you know, basically, that's what I don't like with that whole feminist thing. They want to cut out the sexuality of a woman. And they want to only say that if a woman is showing her sexuality, that it's her being demeaned, and it's being her, and she's being basically kind of like under a man's, you know, a man basically pulling the strings, when in actuality her strings were being pulled at the very beginning, because her father had this certain image that he wanted her to portray to everybody, just like all the men do. They want this whole innocent, kind of like when Britney Spears came with the pigtails and with the old baby song, Hit Me Baby One More Time song. They want to, even though that's still, Britney Spears looked very sexualized, because even though you had her on a uniform, you had it tied, and, you know, so that her midriff was out and a little short skirt on. So it's like they want them to sell sex, but they also wanted to sell the childish stuff. Beyonce came into her full out womanhood and said that I am a fucking woman. I had a baby, and I'm going to express my sexuality and be proud of it, like not shy away from it. So that's what that self-titled album gave, and that was her first delving into it. Now, she, in her 4 albums, she had did Dance for You, and which was I did a strip thing to that, for strip tease for one of the guys I was dating to that shit. That was something else as well, that song. But the self-titled is when she really got into that shit. So Lemonade. Here comes Lemonade in 2017. I think it came out on my nephew's birthday, April the 23rd to be exact. And this album was not more as far as the sexuality side, as it was much more about that fierce divine feminine energy, kind of like that segment shit, you know, like with Don't Hurt Yourself. And not just the whole thing of her uplifting the divine feminine energy, because she did that, but she also showcased, because this album was the most versatile album, and it actually was probably my favorite between this and the self-titled, but I really like this album because she actually showed that all music again came from us. So she showcased Don't Hurt Yourself, which had a complete rock feel to it, and it was pretty like dark and like raw type of shit, and she made melanated people who may not listen to rock music, it plays in your subconscious mind. Oh yeah, this is our shit. Oh yeah, we did make this shit. You know what I'm saying? Before they brought Elvis out and tried to make him the face of rock and roll. So that's what she did there. Then she had Hold Up, which had that reggae and had that country hip hop. Cause at the end she had Soulja Boy's Hop Up Out the Bed, Turn My Swag On, Take a Look in the Mirror, Say What's Up. Yeah, she had that in there at the end. So she was playing around with all the different music, saying that I don't have to be one particular way, like, because in the music industry they like to say you're either R&B, you're a pop artist, you're a hip-hop artist, you're a country artist, you're a rock and roll artist. She said I am neither. I am everything. Just like you would say on a spiritual level, consciously, I am everything. You can't put me in a box and say that I am this one particular way, because I encompass all everything. I'm God, bitch. And cause she even said in the song "Don't Hurt Yourself," God complex, motivate your ass. Call me Malcolm X in that bitch. And I did a video to that earlier. I was all in music earlier. That's what inspired me to actually do this, because I would have been listening to started out with Erykah Badu, and then went to Beyonce and Jay-Z, some of their collaborations, and then went to Riri, and then went to Beyonce, and whatever. So that's what inspired this, because the spirit revealed to me how, even though it's on the main stage, how the spirit utilizes the main stage to touch the masses, or to use the masses to uplift the energy. So even though the people are zombified and they only can get a certain level of understanding, it don't matter what they understand, because they're still putting energy into that particular music, which is uplifting the divine feminine energy. And then she also did "Sorry," which she had like that country slang or rap to it and everything like that. And she was celebrating being a whole country girl and everything like that, and letting her countryness come out, because she even said, like, information that you can't get the country out her. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna happen. So that's a whole nother thing, her uplifting that. But still, like I said, she's touching into reggae, into hip hop, into rock and roll, and into country. And the country actually came from the song, what is it called, when she said "My daddy said to shoot." Right now it's not coming to me. Anywho, y'all know what I'm talking about. "Oh, my daddy said shoot." That song. She showed, again, because black women actually created country music, so then she also reclaimed that. So it's literally like her reclaiming things that belong to us, and it's higher than the surface. It's on a spiritual level, because that, when Beyonce brought out that album, people started Googling. I was like, oh shit, we created. I wasn't aware that a black woman at that time had created country music. So Beyonce brought this out, and I started looking, and I was like, oh shit. So on a spiritual level, what has to happen is the melanated entities have to get back, reclaim what was ours anyway, which everything is ours, to be honest. So it's reclaiming everything, but it's using people on the main stage. That's why they're on the main stage, for a reason. And we're all, it's kind of like them being on the Hollywood main stage, and then the rest of us are doing like local plays and shit like that. So it may not be touching as many people, but everybody's still on stage. Everybody's still playing a role on this plane. But yes, that's really it. I just wanted to kind of like just express why you shouldn't really get into that whole judging people based upon their popularity. Yeah, they're popular in this plane, but it was divinely ordained for them to be popular in that way. Otherwise, how could we have elevated the divine feminine energy to the masses of people if you didn't have a popular artist like a Beyonce and a Rihanna out there on the main stage reclaiming the female sexuality and saying, yeah, we like to have sex too. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we like to, it does make us feel good too. We don't just have sex because, like how Eve was just supposedly created just so that she can only have sex to get pregnant by Adam, and then be fruitful on this earth. Our sexuality is more than that. If it wasn't, then we wouldn't have a menstrual cycle. Okay, which is the opposite side of the fertility, because when you are menstruating, you can't get pregnant. So it literally will kill the seeds that a man puts in you. Okay, so that's the life and the death of that feminine energy, and that's why you have to have the light and the darkness. You can't just sit there and be like, you want everybody to be talking about motherfucking singing about this man done broke your heart. That's another thing. The Beyoncés and the Rihannas, with them doing what they did, they also reclaimed that whole thing about or actually showed a different perspective on a melanated woman, and it actually made a melanated woman feel okay with you having aggression or feeling a little bit of angry, like, you know, because they try to put that whole stigma, that angry black woman. But you have Beyonce in Don't Hurt Yourself going the fuck off, you know what I'm saying? And Beyonce, not Beyonce, and then Rihanna and Woo talking about, I don't even really love you, like, I don't even really care about you no more, okay? And it needed me. To my nigga, you the one that needed me, okay? Don't get it twisted. So it's literally reclaiming that title. And then you can even get into Nicki Minaj, and even though again she's the exaggerated end of it, because, you know, they literally made her a plastic doll, or she made herself a plastic doll with boobs and the ass and all that stuff like that. But you and the hair that they was really crazy at the beginning, but she still, on a spiritual representation, was a representative of a woman being able to do whatever the fuck she wants to do. And she's talking about, all these bitches is my sons. She said, all these niggas is my sons. If you think about it as a spiritual sense, she may not have got that's what she was saying, but all y'all niggas are my sons anyway. You know what I'm saying? You are my sons. So it's not even it's literally like mama is chastising you or whatever type of shit. That's the type of energy she brought. And then even before her, who paved the way, like Little Kim, who was reclaiming sexuality. So that was a rise in the divine feminine energy in the hip hop game. Because at first you had to come out like Queen Latifah and be conscious and be covered up or dress a particular way. Salt and Pepper also brought out some divine feminine energy during their time. You know what I'm saying? When it, let's talk about sex and some, and Shoop, and that song, they also was more sexual. But now, you know, as Little Kim, she like bust the motherfucking door open so that women can actually be really like really raw and really like just more blunt with it. And I'm not talking about smoking blunts. I really wish, I actually need some weed. I haven't had it in a long time. Okay, putting it out in the universe. Anywho's, yeah, and then of course before that you had back in the 70s Donna Summer over there moaning on a damn song to my Love to Love You Baby. I mean, you just the divine feminine energy has been rising for a long time. However, you're just really starting to see it be to the point where it's what people call an over-sexualized society. But the reason why it's so over-sexualized is because of the repression. A woman's sexuality and sexuality as a whole, but especially for women and black women, was suppressed for so long that it had to like flood this motherfucker the way that it is, literally like a valve that you can't shut off, because of the fact that it had been repressed for so long. And in order to bring balance and complete order to this motherfucker, to bring Mayat to this motherfucker, it had to get to this point. So, you know, I'm just, you know, big up the women in the game, the Erykah Badu's, the Beyoncés and the Rihannas, the Nicki Minaj's, for their spiritual contribution to this shit. Because even though Erykah Badu may not be overly fucking sexual, Erykah Badu do say some shit. If you listen to her music, she still is comfortable in her sexuality, and she is a true motherfucking witch. Like she got the men like she got magic. She has a magical vagina. Shout out to her. And you know, never wrong with a magical vagina, honey. That's when you know what you have is the true, you know, is the true black hole. Okay, that's where that true potential come from, and that's where that true creative energy come from. So any man that get with her get inspired. Okay, and I love it. I love it. So anywho's, I'm gonna end the video on that note. You know, just wanted to shout out these melanated females, for even though all of them don't get what their spiritual contribution is to the divine feminine energy, it is definitely divinely ordained and divinely purposed for them to be out during the time that they were, and for them to put out the projects that he put out. Okay, so I definitely appreciate you guys so much for listening. Always send you guys out some love to the ether. Peace.